It was just another ordinary day on Flight 247, or so everyone thought. The sun was shining outside, the sky was blue, and the big, shiny plane was sitting on the runway, ready to take off. People were walking up the steps to get on the plane, carrying their bags, chatting with their friends, or just looking at their phones. Some were excited for their trip, maybe going to see family, or maybe going on a big adventure to a place they'd never been before. Others were tired, dragging their feet, just wanting to sit down and take a nap. It was a normal day, with normal people, doing normal things. Or was it? See, on this plane, something very not normal was about to happen. Something big. Something wild. Something that would make everyone's jaws drop to the floor. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. First, let me tell you about a man named Marcus Jones. Marcus was one of the passengers getting on the plane that day. And oh boy, Marcus was about to have a day he would never forget. And neither would anyone else on Flight 247. So, picture this. Marcus Jones steps onto the plane. He's a tall man, taller than most people on the plane. He's wearing a simple jacket, a plain shirt, and pants that look comfortable but not fancy. He's got his boarding pass in his hand. That's the little piece of paper that tells you where you're supposed to sit on the plane. Marcus is ready for a quiet trip. He's not looking for trouble. He's not looking to make a big scene. He just wants to sit down, relax, and get to where he's going. That's all. Sounds simple, right? But here's the thing, Marcus is a friendly guy. He's the kind of person who smiles at strangers, who says please and thank you, who holds the door open for people behind him. He's the kind of person you'd want to sit next to on a plane, because he's polite and doesn't cause any problems. But today, being polite wasn't going to be enough. Today, Marcus was going to face something unfair. Something mean. Something that would make your stomach feel all twisty if it happened to you. Now, let me tell you about the other important person in this story. Her name is Karen Miller. Karen is a flight attendant on Flight 247. What's a flight attendant, you ask? Well, a flight attendant is the person on the plane who helps passengers. They show you where to sit, they bring you snacks and drinks, they make sure everyone is safe, and they answer your questions. Flight attendants are supposed to be nice, right? They're supposed to help people, not make things harder. But Karen? Oh, Karen was not like most flight attendants. Not today, at least. When Marcus stepped onto the plane, Karen was standing near the door, greeting passengers. Or at least, she was supposed to be greeting them. But really, she was just standing there, looking at everyone with a grumpy face. Her arms were crossed, her eyebrows were all scrunched up, and her lips were pressed together in a tight line, like she'd just eaten a sour lemon. Karen didn't look happy to be at work. She looked like she wanted to be anywhere else but on that plane. And when she saw Marcus, her grumpy face got even grumpier. See, the moment Marcus walked in, Karen stared at him. Not a friendly stare, like when you see someone you know and you're happy to see them. No, this was a mean stare. Her eyes got all small and squinted, like she was trying to figure out a puzzle. And then, a smirk curled up on her lips. A smirk is like a smile, but not a nice one. It's a sneaky, mean kind of smile, the kind someone gives when they think they're better than you. And that's exactly what Karen was thinking. She was thinking, who is this guy? He doesn't belong here. Now, why would Karen think that? Why would she look at Marcus and decide, without even talking to him, that she didn't like him? Well, I'll tell you why, but it's not a nice reason. It's not a fair reason. It's not a good reason at all. Karen judged Marcus by the way he looked. She looked at his dark skin, she looked at his simple clothes, and she thought, this guy doesn't look like someone who belongs in first class. First class, you see, is the fancy part of the plane. It's where the seats are bigger, the food is better, and the people get treated extra special. Karen thought Marcus didn't fit in first class. She thought he must have made a mistake, or maybe even sneaked in where he wasn't supposed to be. But oh, how wrong she was. Karen had no idea who Marcus really was. She had no idea that Marcus had a secret. A big, huge, gigantic secret that would flip this whole story upside down. A secret that would make Karen wish she'd never judged him in the first place. But we'll get to that secret soon. For now, let's just say Marcus was not the person Karen thought he was. Not even close. So, there's Marcus, walking down the aisle of the plane, looking for his seat. He's calm, he's quiet, he's not bothering anyone. And there's Karen, standing near the door, staring at him with her mean, squinty eyes and her sneaky smirk. The other passengers are watching, too. Some of them are sitting in their seats, buckling their seat belts, getting ready for takeoff. Some of them are putting their bags up in the overhead bins, those little shelves above the seats where you store your stuff. And some of them are just watching Marcus, wondering what's going to happen next. Because you see, even though Marcus didn't know it yet, Karen had already decided she didn't like him. Before he even said a word, before he even sat down, Karen had made up her mind. She thought, this guy is trouble. I'm going to keep an eye on him. I'm going to make sure he doesn't get away with anything. But what was Marcus trying to get away with? Nothing. He was just trying to take his trip, just like everyone else. But Karen didn't care about that. She didn't care about being fair. She didn't care about being nice. She just cared about being in charge, about feeling important, about making sure everyone knew she was the boss. Now, let's talk about Marcus's secret for a second. I know, I said we'd get to it later, but I just can't help myself. I have to give you a little hint. Just a tiny one, to keep you curious. See, Marcus wasn't just any passenger on this plane. He wasn't just a guy going on a trip. No, Marcus had a job. A very important job. A job that meant he was actually the one in charge, not Karen. But Karen didn't know that. The other passengers didn't know that. Even the pilot of the plane didn't know that. Marcus's secret was so big, so surprising, that when it finally came out, everyone's eyes would go wide, their mouths would drop open, and they'd say, wow. I didn't see that coming. But for now, Marcus was keeping his secret to himself. He didn't want to make a big deal out of it. He didn't want to cause a scene. He just wanted to sit down, relax, and enjoy his flight. But Karen? Oh, Karen was about to make that impossible. She was about to do something so mean, so unfair, that it would make everyone on the plane feel uncomfortable. And it would make Marcus decide that enough was enough. But what did she do? And what did Marcus do about it? Well, you'll just have to stick around to find out. Hey, quick question for you: have you ever been judged for no reason? Maybe someone looked at you and decided they didn't like you, even though they didn't even know you. Maybe they thought you couldn't do something, just because of the way you looked or the clothes you were wearing. It doesn't feel good, does it? It feels yucky, like someone's being mean to you for no reason at all. Well, that's exactly what Marcus was going through right now. But here's the good news: Marcus wasn't going to let Karen win. He was going to teach her a lesson. A big lesson. A lesson she'd never forget. And you're going to love watching it happen. Now, let's go back to the plane. Marcus is walking down the aisle, looking at the numbers above the seats to find his spot. The plane is pretty full now, with people sitting down, putting on their seat belts, and getting ready for takeoff. The pilot's voice comes over the loudspeaker, saying, "Welcome to Flight 247. Please take your seats and buckle up. We'll be taking off soon." Everyone is busy, everyone is moving, but Karen? Karen is still staring at Marcus. She's watching him like a hawk, like she's just waiting for him to do something wrong. And Marcus? He's not doing anything wrong. He's just being Marcus, calm, quiet, polite. He finds his seat, which is in first class, remember. Seat 1A, right at the front of the plane. It's one of the best seats, with extra legroom and a big, comfy cushion. Marcus smiles to himself, thinking, this is going to be a nice trip. He sits down, puts his bag under the seat in front of him, and buckles his seat belt. He's ready to go. He's not bothering anyone. He's not causing any trouble. But trouble is about to find him. Because here comes Karen. She's walking down the aisle now, her clipboard in her hand, her sneakers squeaking on the floor. She's got that same mean smirk on her face, and her eyes are locked on Marcus. The other passengers notice her, too. Some of them look up from their phones, some of them peek over their seats, wondering what's going on. And Marcus? He notices her, too. He sees her coming, and he thinks, uh-oh, what's this about? But he doesn't say anything. He just sits there, waiting, staying calm. Now, let me tell you a little bit more about first class, just so you can picture it. First class is the fancy part of the plane, like I said before. The seats are bigger, the pillows are fluffier, and the people who sit there get special treatment. They get their snacks first, they get hot towels to wipe their hands, and they even get to board the plane before everyone else. It's like being in a special club, where everything is extra nice. And Marcus? He's sitting in first class because that's where his ticket says he's supposed to be. He didn't sneak in. He didn't cheat. He didn't do anything wrong. But Karen? She doesn't believe that. Not for a second. See, Karen has this idea in her head. She thinks first class is only for certain kinds of people. People who look a certain way, who dress a certain way, who act a certain way. And in her mind, Marcus doesn't fit that picture. She looks at his dark skin, his simple clothes, his quiet way of moving, and she thinks, no way. This guy doesn't belong here. He must have made a mistake. Or maybe he's trying to trick us. But here's the thing, Karen is wrong. So wrong. And she's about to find out just how wrong she is. But before we get to that, let's talk about judging people. Judging means deciding what someone is like before you even know them. It's like looking at a book and saying, this book looks boring, without even reading the first page. Or looking at a piece of candy and saying, this candy tastes bad, without even trying it. Judging is not fair. It's not nice. And it's not smart, either, because you might miss out on something really great. Like a good book. Or a yummy piece of candy. Or, in Karen's case, a really important person. Because Marcus? He's not just any person. He's someone special. Someone important. Someone with a secret that's going to change everything. But Karen doesn't know that. She doesn't care about finding out who Marcus really is. She just cares about being right, about being in charge, about making sure Marcus knows she's the boss. And that's where she's going to make her first big mistake. Now, let's think about how Marcus is feeling right now. He's sitting in his seat, buckled up, ready for the flight. He's excited to be in first class, because it's a treat, a special thing. Maybe he saved up his money to buy this ticket. Maybe he got it as a gift. Maybe he earned it through his job. We don't know yet, because Marcus is keeping his secret close to his chest. But whatever the reason, Marcus is happy to be there. He's looking forward to a nice, quiet trip. But then he sees Karen coming toward him, and he knows something's up. Imagine how you'd feel if you were Marcus. You're sitting in your seat, minding your own business, and someone starts staring at you with a mean look. You haven't done anything wrong, but they're acting like you did. Your heart might start beating a little faster. Your stomach might feel a little funny. You might start thinking, what's going on? Why is this person mad at me? That's how Marcus is feeling right now. But here's the thing, Marcus is good at staying calm. He's good at not letting mean people get to him. And that's going to be very important in the story. Now, let's talk about the other passengers for a second. They're watching all of this happen. Some of them are in first class, sitting near Marcus, close enough to hear everything. Some of them are in the regular seats, farther back, but they can still see Karen marching down the aisle with her clipboard. And some of them are just peeking over their seats, trying to figure out what's going on. The plane is quiet now, because everyone can tell something is about to happen. It's like that moment in a movie when the music gets all tense, and you know something big is coming. Everyone is watching, waiting, wondering. And here's where I want to ask you another question. Have you ever seen someone being treated unfairly? Maybe at school, maybe on the playground, maybe even at home. Maybe someone was being mean to a kid just because they looked different, or because they didn't have the right clothes, or because they didn't talk the same way everyone else did. It doesn't feel good to watch, does it? It feels wrong. It feels like you want to do something, say something, help somehow. Well, that's how some of the passengers are feeling right now. They can see Karen being mean to Marcus, and they don't like it. But most of them are too afraid to say anything. They're just watching, waiting to see what happens next. But not everyone is afraid. There's one passenger, a lady sitting a few rows back, who's watching very closely. She's an older lady, with gray hair and glasses, and she's got a notebook in her lap. She's writing something down, and she's looking at Karen with a frown. Who is this lady? What is she writing? Is she important to the story? Well, I'll give you a little hint, she's going to be very important later on. But for now, let's just say she's someone who doesn't like unfairness, either. And she's keeping an eye on everything. Now, let's go back to Marcus. He's sitting in his seat, watching Karen come closer. He's calm, he's quiet, but he's also smart. He's paying attention. He's noticing everything: Karen's mean smirk, her squinty eyes, the way she's holding her clipboard like it's a shield. Marcus is thinking, okay, something's up. But I'm not going to let it ruin my day. And that's a good lesson for all of us, don't you think? When someone is being mean to you, sometimes the best thing to do is stay calm, stay polite, and not let them get to you. Because when you stay calm, you stay in control. And Marcus? He's definitely in control, even if Karen doesn't know it yet. Now, let's talk about Karen's clipboard for a second. That clipboard is important to her. It's like her badge of power. It's what makes her feel like she's the boss. She's got a list of all the passengers' names on that clipboard, and she's got little notes about where everyone is supposed to sit. That clipboard is supposed to help her do her job, to make sure everyone is in the right place. But Karen isn't using it to help. She's using it to be mean. She's using it to make Marcus feel small, to make him feel like he doesn't belong. But here's the funny thing: Karen hasn't even looked at her clipboard yet. She hasn't even checked to see if Marcus is in the right seat. She's just assuming he's wrong, because of the way he looks. And that's her first big mistake. Now, let's think about what Marcus is thinking. He's sitting there, watching Karen come closer, and he's probably thinking, okay, here we go. This lady is going to try to cause trouble. But I'm not going to let her win. Marcus is smart. He's patient. He's not the kind of person who yells or gets mad easily. He's the kind of person who waits, who watches, who thinks before he acts. And that's going to be very important in this story. Because Marcus isn't just going to sit there and take Karen's meanness. No, he's going to do something about it. Something big. Something that will make everyone cheer. But not yet. For now, he's just waiting, watching, staying calm. And here's where I want to give you another little hint about Marcus's secret. Remember how I said Marcus has a job? A very important job? Well, let me tell you just a tiny bit more, just to keep you curious. Marcus's job is all about making sure planes are safe and fair for everyone. His job is to watch people like Karen, to make sure they're doing their jobs the right way, and to step in if they're not. But Marcus doesn't wear a big badge that says, I'm in charge. He doesn't wear a fancy uniform. He doesn't tell everyone who he is. Why? Because he wants to see how people act when they think no one important is watching. And right now, Karen is acting very, very badly. And Marcus is watching every single thing she does. Now, let's talk about the plane itself for a second, just to help you picture it. The plane is big, with lots of seats all lined up in rows. The first class section, where Marcus is sitting, is at the front, separated from the rest of the plane by a little curtain. The seats in first class are wide, with big armrests and lots of room to stretch your legs. There's a little table that folds down in front of each seat, where you can put your snacks or your book or your phone. And there's a window next to Marcus's seat, where he can look out and see the runway, the sky, the clouds. It's a nice place to be, a comfortable place. But right now, it doesn't feel very comfortable, because Karen is coming closer, and Marcus knows she's about to say something mean. And here's where the story really starts to get exciting. Because Karen is about to open her mouth. She's about to say something to Marcus, something that's going to make everyone on the plane pay attention. Something that's going to make the passengers gasp, make the lady with the notebook frown, make Marcus decide that enough is enough. But what does she say? And what does Marcus do about it? Well, you'll just have to stick around to find out. But before we move on, let me ask you one more question. Have you ever been on a plane? Or maybe you've just seen planes on TV or in movies. What's it like to be on a plane, do you think? Is it exciting, with all the noise and the people and the big engines roaring? Or is it a little scary, with all the rules and the seat belts and the idea of being so high up in the sky? For Marcus, being on a plane is just part of his job. He's used to it. He's not scared, he's not nervous, he's just ready to do what he needs to do. But for Karen, being on a plane is her chance to be in charge, to be the boss, to make sure everyone knows she's important. And that's where she's going to make her second big mistake. Now, let's talk about mistakes for a second. Everyone makes mistakes, right? Maybe you forget your homework, or you spill your juice, or you say something without thinking. Mistakes happen. But there's a difference between a little mistake, like forgetting your homework, and a big mistake, like being mean to someone for no reason. Karen's mistake isn't just a little oops. It's a big, huge, gigantic oops. And it's going to cost her. It's going to cost her a lot. But she doesn't know that yet. She thinks she's in control. She thinks she's the boss. She thinks she can do whatever she wants. But oh, how wrong she is. And here's where I want to give you one last little hint about Marcus's secret, just to keep you on the edge of your seat. Marcus's job isn't just important, it's powerful. He has the power to change things, to fix things, to make things right. He has the power to make sure people like Karen don't get away with being mean. But he doesn't use that power right away. He waits. He watches. He makes sure he has all the facts before he acts. And right now, he's watching Karen very, very closely. And Karen? She's about to give him all the facts he needs. So, there you have it, the opening of our story. We've met Marcus, the quiet, friendly man with a big secret. We've met Karen, the mean flight attendant who judges people by the way they look. We've set the scene, on a big, shiny plane called Flight 247, where something wild is about to happen. And we've asked some questions, to keep you thinking, to keep you curious, to keep you wanting more. But this is just the beginning. The real excitement is coming next. The real twists, the real surprises, the real fun. So stick around, because Marcus is about to teach everyone a lesson they'll never forget. Hey, one last thing before we move on, don't forget to tell me in the comments, where are you watching from today? And if you love stories like this, where the underdog wins, hit that subscribe button right now. And here's one more question to get you thinking, have you ever seen someone treated unfairly, but then they turned the tables? Tell me below, and let's see who's got the best story. Okay, now let's get back to the plane, because Karen is about to open her mouth, and things are about to get wild. Marcus found his seat 1A, right at the front of first class. Let's talk about that seat for a second, because it's important. Seat 1A is the best seat on the plane. It's right at the front, where the first class section starts. First class is the fancy part of the plane, remember. The seats are big, like really big, with lots of room to stretch your legs. The cushions are soft, like sitting on a fluffy cloud. And there's a little table that folds down in front of you, where you can put your snacks, your drink, or maybe a book if you want to read. It's the kind of seat that makes you feel special, like you're on a big adventure. And Marcus? He was excited to be there. He earned that seat, and he was ready to enjoy it. So, Marcus smiled politely, the way he always does, because he's a nice guy. He's the kind of person who says please and thank you, who smiles at strangers, who doesn't cause trouble. He sat down in seat 1A, feeling the soft cushion under him, and he buckled his seat belt. Click. The seat belt snapped into place, nice and tight, keeping him safe. Marcus was ready to relax, to enjoy his trip, to maybe close his eyes and take a little nap. He had his boarding pass, that's the little piece of paper that tells you where to sit, right in his hand, just in case anyone needed to see it. He was doing everything right. He was following all the rules. He was being a perfect passenger. But before Marcus could even relax, before he could even take one deep breath, something happened. Something big. Something loud. Something mean. Here comes Karen. Karen, the flight attendant, the one with the mean stare and the sneaky smirk, remember her? She was watching Marcus the whole time, from the moment he stepped onto the plane. And now, she was coming for him. She marched over, her clipboard clutched tightly in her hands, like it was her shield, like it was her sword, like it was the most important thing in the world. Her sneakers squeaked on the floor, squeak, 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 as she walked down the aisle. Her face was red, her eyes were squinted, and her lips were pressed together in that tight, sour lemon line. Oh, Karen was mad. She was really, really mad. But why? What did Marcus do to make her so mad? Well, here's the thing: Marcus didn't do anything wrong. Not a single thing. He was just sitting in his seat, minding his own business, being polite, being quiet. But Karen? She didn't care about that. She didn't care about being fair. She didn't care about the rules. She had already decided, before Marcus even sat down, that he didn't belong in first class. Why? Because of the way he looked. Because of his dark skin. Because of his simple clothes. Karen looked at Marcus and thought, this guy doesn't fit here. This guy doesn't belong in first class. He must be in the wrong seat. But oh, how wrong she was. Karen had no idea who Marcus really was. She had no idea about his secret, the secret that was going to flip this whole story upside down. But we'll get to that secret soon. For now, let's just watch what Karen does next, because it's about to get wild. So, Karen marches up to Marcus, standing right in front of his seat, her clipboard clutched tightly. And then, she opens her mouth. And oh boy, what comes out of her mouth is not nice. Not nice at all. Excuse me, sir, she snapped, her voice loud enough for everyone to hear. Everyone. The passengers in first class, the passengers in the regular seats, even the pilot up in the cockpit probably heard her. Her voice was sharp, like a knife, cutting through the quiet of the plane. This is first class, she said, pointing at the seats around her, like Marcus didn't already know. I think you're in the wrong seat. Now, let's stop for a second and think about what Karen just said. She said, I think you're in the wrong seat. But why did she think that? Did she look at Marcus's boarding pass? No. Did she check her clipboard, the one with all the names and seat numbers on it? No. Did she ask Marcus any questions, like a polite person would? No. Karen didn't do any of those things. She just looked at Marcus, saw his dark skin, saw his simple clothes, and decided, all by herself, that he didn't belong in first class. She judged him, remember that word? Judging means deciding what someone is like before you even know them. And Karen was judging Marcus, big time. And not in a good way. Now, let's talk about how Marcus reacted. Because if someone said that to you, if someone marched up to you and said, I think you're in the wrong seat, in a loud, mean voice, you might feel a little scared, right? Your heart might start beating fast, like a drum, boom, boom, boom. Your stomach might feel all twisty, like you ate something yucky. You might even feel embarrassed, like everyone is staring at you, thinking you did something wrong. And guess what? That's exactly how Marcus felt. He felt confused, because he knew he was in the right seat. He felt embarrassed, because everyone was staring at him. And he felt angry, because Karen was being mean to him for no reason at all. But here's the thing: Marcus didn't show it. He didn't let Karen see that he was upset. He didn't yell back. He didn't get mad. He didn't cause a scene. Why? Because Marcus is smart. He's calm. He's patient. He's the kind of person who thinks before he acts, who waits before he speaks, who stays in control even when someone is being mean to him. And that's going to be very important in the story, because Marcus has a plan. A better plan. A plan that's going to teach Karen a lesson she'll never forget. But for now, Marcus just blinked, looking up at Karen with his big, kind eyes, and said, no, ma'am. I have my boarding pass right here. His voice was calm, polite, steady, like a still pond on a quiet day. And he held up his boarding pass, that little piece of paper, showing it to Karen, proving that he was in the right seat. Now, let's think about what Marcus just did. He didn't yell. He didn't get mad. He didn't call Karen names. He just showed her the proof, the facts, the truth. He said, here's my boarding pass. Check it. See for yourself. That's a smart thing to do, isn't it? When someone is being mean to you, sometimes the best thing is to stay calm, to show the facts, to let the truth speak for itself. And Marcus? He was letting the truth speak loud and clear. But would Karen listen? Would she look at the boarding pass and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake"? Would she be fair? Would she be nice? Well, let's find out. Karen looked at the boarding pass in Marcus's hand, but she didn't take it. She didn't even try to read it. Instead, she rolled her eyes, like she was annoyed, like Marcus was wasting her time. And then, she said something even meaner. Something so mean, it made everyone around them gasp. "People like you always think you can just sneak in here," she said, her voice loud and sharp, cutting through the air like a whip. "I'm not stupid." Whoa. Let's stop right there and talk about what Karen just said. People like you. What does that mean? Who is people like you? Well, Karen meant people with dark skin, people who don't look like her, people who she thinks don't belong in first class. But here's the thing, Karen doesn't know Marcus. She doesn't know anything about him. She doesn't know where he's going, why he's on the plane, or how he got his ticket. She just looked at him and decided, all by herself, that he was trying to sneak into first class. Sneak. Like he was a thief, like he was doing something wrong, like he was breaking the rules. But Marcus wasn't sneaking. He wasn't breaking any rules. He was exactly where he was supposed to be. Karen was the one breaking the rules of fairness, rules of kindness, rules of doing her job the right way. Now, let's talk about the passengers around Marcus. Because when Karen said, "People like you always think you can just sneak in here," the whole plane went quiet. Dead quiet. You could hear a pin drop, that's how quiet it was. And then, people started to react. The passengers around Marcus, the ones in first class, gasped, like they couldn't believe what they just heard. A gasp is that sound you make when you're shocked, like ah. It's the sound you make when something surprises you, when something feels wrong, when something makes your eyes go wide and your mouth drop open. And that's exactly what the passengers did. They gasped, because they knew Karen was being mean, really mean, super mean. A few passengers started whispering to each other, their voices low, like a soft buzz in the background. "Did she just say that?" one person whispered. "That's not right," another person said. "She shouldn't talk to him like that," someone else added. The passengers were starting to feel uncomfortable, because they could see that Karen was being unfair. They could see that Marcus wasn't doing anything wrong. They could see that Karen was the problem, not Marcus. But here's the thing, most of them didn't say anything out loud. They didn't stand up and say, "Hey, Karen, stop being mean." They didn't help Marcus, at least not yet. Why? Because sometimes, when people see something unfair, they feel scared to speak up. They feel shy, or worried, or afraid of getting in trouble. And that's okay, because not everyone is brave all the time. But some people are brave. And Marcus? He was one of those brave people. He just didn't show it yet. Now, let's go back to Marcus. Remember how he felt when Karen first said, "I think you're in the wrong seat"? His heart was beating fast, his stomach was twisty, he was embarrassed and angry. Well, now, after Karen said, "People like you always think you can just sneak in here," Marcus felt even worse. His heart was racing now, like a race car zooming around a track, vroom, vroom, vroom. His stomach felt even twistier, like a big knot tied tight. And his anger? Oh, his anger was growing, like a fire starting to burn, hot and bright. But here's the amazing thing, Marcus didn't show it. He didn't let Karen see his anger. He didn't let her see his embarrassment. He didn't let her see that she was getting to him. Why? Because Marcus wasn't the type to yell back. He wasn't the type to lose control. No, Marcus had a better plan. A smarter plan. A plan that was going to teach Karen a lesson she'd never forget. But for now, Marcus just stayed calm, like a superhero hiding his powers, waiting for the right moment to strike. And here's where Marcus did something really smart. He looked at Karen, right in her mean, squinty eyes, and he smiled. Yes, smiled. Can you believe it? After all that meanness, after all those mean words, Marcus smiled. But it wasn't a scared smile, or a weak smile, or a fake smile. It was a strong smile, a confident smile, a smile that said, "I know something you don't know." And then, he said, "Please, check my ticket." His voice was still calm, still polite, still steady, like a still pond on a quiet day. He held up his boarding pass again, offering it to Karen, giving her another chance to do the right thing, to be fair, to follow the rules. Now, let's think about what Marcus just did. He said, "Please, check my ticket." Why is that so smart? Because Marcus was giving Karen a chance to fix her mistake. He was saying, here's the proof, here's the truth, here's the facts. Look at them, and you'll see I'm right. Marcus wasn't yelling, he wasn't fighting, he wasn't being mean back. He was being better than Karen. He was being smarter than Karen. He was being stronger than Karen. And that's a great lesson for all of us, don't you think? When someone is being mean to you, sometimes the best thing to do is stay calm, stay polite, and let the facts speak for themselves. Because the truth always wins in the end. But would Karen listen? Would she take the boarding pass, look at it, and say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I was wrong"? Would she be fair? Would she be nice? Well, let's find out. Karen looked at Marcus's boarding pass, the one he was holding up, the one that proved he was in the right seat. And guess what she did? She huffed. A huff is that sound you make when you're annoyed, like a big, loud breath, huff. It's the sound you make when you're mad, when you don't want to do something, when you think someone is wasting your time. Karen huffed, like Marcus was bothering her, like he was the problem, like he was the one being unfair. And then, she snatched the boarding pass out of his hand. Snatched. Like a bird grabbing a worm, swoop, grab, gone. She didn't ask nicely, she didn't say please, she didn't even say thank you. She just took it, because Karen thought she was in charge, because Karen thought she was the boss, because Karen thought she could do whatever she wanted. Now, Karen had the boarding pass in her hand. She held it up, close to her face, and glared at it. Glared. Like the boarding pass was her enemy, like it was a bad guy in a movie, like it was something she wanted to fight. Her eyes were squinted, her lips were tight, her face was red. She was looking for something, anything, that would prove Marcus was wrong, that would prove she was right, that would prove he didn't belong in first class. But here's the thing, the boarding pass was real. It was true. It had Marcus's name on it, Marcus Jones, and it had his seat number on it, 1A, right at the front of first class. It was proof, clear as day, that Marcus was exactly where he was supposed to be. And guess what happened to Karen's face when she saw that? Her face turned even redder. Red like a tomato, red like a stop sign, red like a big, bright apple. Why? Because Karen saw that Marcus was right. She saw that he was in the right seat. She saw that she was wrong. But here's the big question, would Karen admit she was wrong? Would she say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I made a mistake"? Would she be fair? Would she be nice? Well, let's find out. Karen looked at the boarding pass, saw that Marcus was right, and then, she didn't apologize. Nope. Not even a little bit. Instead, she tossed the boarding pass back at Marcus, like it was a piece of trash, like it was something she didn't care about, like it was nothing. Tossed. Like you toss a ball, like you toss a piece of paper into the garbage, like you toss something you don't want. The boarding pass fluttered through the air, landing on Marcus's lap, all crumpled and messy. And then, Karen said something even meaner. "Fine," she muttered, her voice low and grumpy, like a growling dog. "But I'm watching you." Whoa. Let's stop right there and talk about what Karen just did. She saw that Marcus was right, she saw that he was in the right seat, she saw that she was wrong. But instead of saying, "I'm sorry," instead of being fair, instead of being nice, she got even meaner. She tossed the boarding pass back at him, like he was nothing, like he was nobody, like he didn't matter. And then, she said, "I'm watching you." What does that mean? It means Karen was saying, "Okay, maybe you're in the right seat, but I still don't trust you. I still think you're trouble. I still think you don't belong here." It means Karen wasn't done being mean. It means Karen wasn't done judging Marcus. It means Karen was going to keep making trouble for him, just because of the way he looked. Now, let's talk about how Marcus felt when Karen did that. Imagine you're Marcus. You show someone the proof, the facts, the truth, and instead of saying, "Oh, I'm sorry," they toss the proof back at you and say, "I'm watching you." How would you feel? You'd probably feel even angrier, right? Your heart would be racing even faster, your stomach would be even twistier, your anger would be burning even hotter. And that's exactly how Marcus felt. But here's the amazing thing, Marcus still didn't show it. He still didn't yell. He still didn't get mad. He still didn't lose control. Why? Because Marcus had a better plan. A smarter plan. A plan that was going to teach Karen a lesson she'd never forget. And that plan? It was just getting started. Now, let's talk about the passengers again, because they were watching all of this happen. When Karen tossed the boarding pass back at Marcus, when she said, "I'm watching you," the passengers gasped again, even louder this time. Ah! They couldn't believe it. They couldn't believe how mean Karen was being. They couldn't believe she wouldn't apologize, even when she was wrong. The whispers got louder, too. "That's not fair," one person said. "She's being so rude," another person said. "Why is she treating him like that?" someone else asked. The passengers were starting to feel really uncomfortable now, because they could see that Karen was being unfair, really unfair, super unfair. And some of them were starting to feel something else, too, anger. They were starting to get mad, not at Marcus, but at Karen. But still, most of them didn't say anything out loud. They didn't stand up and help Marcus, at least not yet. Why? Because sometimes, when people see something unfair, they feel scared to speak up. And that's okay, because not everyone is brave all the time. But some people are brave. And Marcus? He was one of those brave people. He just didn't show it yet. Now, let's talk about that lady with the notebook, remember her? The older lady with the gray hair and the glasses, the one who was writing something down? Well, she was watching all of this, too. And guess what? She wasn't just watching, she was writing. She had her notebook open on her lap, and she was scribbling fast, her pen moving back and forth, scratch, scratch, scratch. What was she writing? Was she writing about Karen? Was she writing about Marcus? Was she writing about the unfairness she was seeing? Well, I'll give you a little hint, she was writing about all of it. And that lady? She's going to be very important later on in the story. But for now, let's just say she's someone who doesn't like unfairness, either. And she's keeping track of everything Karen is doing. Now, let's go back to Marcus. He's sitting in his seat, the boarding pass crumpled on his lap, Karen's mean words still ringing in his ears. "I'm watching you." Marcus looked at Karen as she walked away, her clipboard still clutched tightly, her sneakers still squeaking on the floor, squeak, squeak, squeak. And Marcus thought to himself, "Okay, Karen. You want to watch me? Go ahead. But I'm watching you, too." And here's the thing, Marcus wasn't just watching. He was planning. He was thinking. He was getting ready to use his secret, the secret that Karen didn't know about, the secret that was going to flip this whole story upside down. But what was that secret? What was Marcus hiding? Well, I'll give you a little hint, just to keep you curious. Marcus's secret is big. It's huge. It's gigantic. And it's going to make Karen wish she'd never judged him in the first place. Oh, Karen, 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 if only you knew who you were messing with. If only you knew the truth about Marcus. If only you knew that he wasn't just any passenger, that he wasn't just a guy on a trip, that he was someone important, someone powerful, someone who could change everything. But Karen didn't know. She didn't care. She just cared about being in charge, about feeling important, about making sure everyone knew she was the boss. And that's where she was going to make her next big mistake. Now, let's talk about mistakes for a second. Everyone makes mistakes, right? Maybe you forget your homework, or you spill your juice, or you say something without thinking. Mistakes happen. But there's a difference between a little mistake, like forgetting your homework, and a big mistake, like being mean to someone for no reason. Karen's mistake wasn't just a little oops. It was a big, huge, gigantic oops. And it was going to cost her. It was going to cost her a lot. But she didn't know that yet. She thought she was in control. She thought she was the boss. She thought she could do whatever she wanted. But oh, how wrong she was. And here's where I want to ask you a question, to keep you thinking, to keep you curious. What do you think Marcus is hiding? What do you think his secret is? Is he a spy, sneaking around, watching everything? Is he a superhero, hiding his powers under his simple clothes? Is he someone important, someone who can fix things, someone who can make things right? Well, you'll just have to keep watching, because this is about to get good. Really good. Super good. Marcus is about to teach Karen a lesson she'll never forget, and you're going to love watching it happen. As the plane took off, the big engines roared, loud like a lion, rumble, rumble, rumble. The plane lifted up into the sky, whoosh, leaving the ground far below. Everyone on the plane settled into their seats, ready for the trip. Some people pulled out books to read. Some people put on headphones to listen to music. Some people closed their eyes to take a nap. It was supposed to be a calm, quiet flight. But not for Marcus. Oh no, not for Marcus. Because Karen, the mean flight attendant, wasn't done bothering him. Not even close. See, Karen kept finding ways to bother Marcus, little mean ways, sneaky ways, ways that made him feel bad. First, she accidentally spilled water on his tray table. Let's talk about that for a second. The tray table is that little table that folds down in front of your seat on a plane, where you can put your snacks or your drink. Marcus had his tray table down, nice and neat, with nothing on it yet. He was just sitting there, minding his own business, being polite, being quiet. But here comes Karen, walking down the aisle with a big pitcher of water, splash, splash, splash. She was supposed to be pouring water into cups for the passengers, but when she got to Marcus, oops. Her hand slipped, and a big splash of water went right onto his tray table, drip, drip, drip. Water everywhere, all wet and messy. Now, Karen said it was an accident. She said, "Oh, sorry," but her voice didn't sound sorry. Her voice sounded fake, like when someone says sorry but doesn't really mean it. And her face? Her face had that sneaky smirk, that mean smile, the one that says, "I'm not really sorry at all." Marcus looked at the water, all wet and messy on his tray table, and he knew it wasn't an accident. He knew Karen did it on purpose, just to bother him, just to be mean, just to make him feel like he didn't belong. But Marcus? He didn't get mad. He didn't yell. He just took a napkin, wipe, 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 and cleaned up the mess, staying calm, staying quiet, staying polite. But Karen wasn't done. Oh no, she had more mean tricks up her sleeve. Later, when Marcus felt a little cold, he pressed the little button above his seat, the one that calls the flight attendant. Ding. The button made a soft sound, and a little light went on, telling Karen that Marcus needed help. Marcus waited, polite as always, and when Karen came over, he said, "Excuse me, ma'am, could I please have a blanket?" His voice was kind, his words were nice, his smile was friendly. But Karen? She ignored him. She acted like she didn't even hear him. She just walked right past, her sneakers squeaking on the floor, squeak, 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 pretending Marcus wasn't even there. No blanket, no help, no kindness. Just more meanness. And every time Karen passed by Marcus's seat, every single time, she gave him a dirty look. A dirty look is when someone stares at you with mean eyes, like they're mad at you, like they don't like you, like they think you're bad. Karen's eyes were squinty, her lips were tight, her face was grumpy, like she'd just eaten a sour lemon. She wanted Marcus to feel bad, to feel small, to feel like he didn't belong in first class. But Marcus? He didn't let her win. He didn't let her see that he was upset. He just sat there, calm and quiet, watching her with his sharp, focused eyes. Now, let's talk about the other passengers for a second, because they were starting to notice all of this. The people sitting near Marcus, the ones in first class, saw the water spill, saw Karen ignore Marcus, saw her dirty looks. Some of them shook their heads, like this, shake, 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 because they felt bad for Marcus. They knew Karen was being mean, really mean, super mean. They could see that Marcus wasn't doing anything wrong, that he was just trying to enjoy his trip, that he was being polite and kind. But Karen? She was being unfair, really unfair, super unfair. And that made some of the passengers feel sad, feel mad, feel like something wasn't right. But here's the thing, most of the passengers stayed quiet. They didn't say anything out loud. They didn't stand up and say, "Hey, Karen, stop being mean." They didn't help Marcus, at least not yet. Why? Because sometimes, when people see something unfair, they feel scared to speak up. They feel shy, or worried, or afraid of getting in trouble. And that's okay, because not everyone is brave all the time. But some people are brave. And Marcus? He was one of those brave people. He just didn't show it yet. Now, let's talk about Marcus, because Marcus wasn't just any passenger. Oh no, Marcus was special. Marcus was different. Marcus was smart. See, while Karen was being mean, while she was spilling water and ignoring him and giving him dirty looks, Marcus was watching her. His eyes were sharp, like a hawk, watching every little thing she did. He saw the water spill, and he knew it wasn't an accident. He saw her ignore his request for a blanket, and he knew she did it on purpose. He saw her dirty looks, and he knew she was trying to make him feel bad. Marcus was paying attention, really close attention, to every single thing Karen did. And here's the first hint of his secret, the first little clue, the first small revelation: Marcus wasn't just flying for fun. He wasn't just on a trip to relax. No, Marcus was on a mission. A mission. What does that mean? Well, a mission is like a special job, a secret plan, something important you have to do. Marcus wasn't just sitting there, letting Karen be mean to him. He was watching her, studying her, keeping track of everything she did. Why? Because Marcus had a secret, a big secret, a huge secret, a secret that Karen didn't know about, a secret that was going to change everything. But what was that secret? What was Marcus's mission? Well, I'll give you a little hint, just to keep you curious. Marcus's mission was all about making things fair, making things right, making sure people like Karen didn't get away with being mean. But for now, Marcus was keeping his secret to himself, staying calm, staying quiet, staying smart. Now, let's fast forward to halfway through the flight. The plane was high in the sky, flying smooth and steady, hum, hum, hum. Most of the passengers were relaxed now, eating their snacks, watching movies, taking naps. But not Marcus. And not Karen. Because halfway through the flight, Karen made her biggest mistake. Her biggest, hugest, most gigantic mistake. And oh boy, it was a doozy. Here's what happened. Karen walked over to Marcus again, her clipboard clutched tightly, her sneakers squeaking on the floor, squeak, squeak, squeak. But this time, she had a fake smile on her face. A fake smile is when someone smiles, but they don't mean it, like their lips are smiling but their eyes are mean. Karen's fake smile was big and wide, but her eyes were still squinted, still sneaky, still mean. And then, she said something loud, really loud, super loud, loud enough for everyone to hear. "Sir, I need to see your ID," she said, her voice sharp like a whistle. "Tweet, tweet, tweet. We have to make sure everything matches." Whoa. Let's stop right there and talk about what Karen just did. She said, "I need to see your ID, and we have to make sure everything matches." What does that mean? Well, an ID is a little card, like a driver's license or a passport, that has your name and picture on it, to prove who you are. Karen was saying she wanted to check Marcus's ID, to make sure he was the right person, to make sure he belonged in first class. But here's the thing: Karen didn't ask anyone else on the plane for their ID. Not the lady in seat 2B, not the man in seat 3A, not anyone. Just Marcus. Why? Because she still thought he didn't belong, because she still thought he was sneaking, because she still thought he was doing something wrong. And she said it loud, really loud, super loud, so everyone would hear, so everyone would stare, so everyone would think Marcus was bad. Now, when Karen said that, the plane went silent. Dead silent. Quiet like a library, quiet like a mouse, quiet like the middle of the night. Everyone stared. The passengers in first class, the passengers in the regular seats, even the little kid playing with a toy plane, zoom, 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 stopped and stared. Everyone's eyes were on Marcus, watching, waiting, wondering what would happen next. And Marcus? He didn't flinch. He didn't get mad. He didn't yell. He just tilted his head, like this, tilt, 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 looking at Karen with his sharp, focused eyes, and he asked, "Why? Is there a problem?" His voice was calm, polite, steady, like a still pond on a quiet day. "Now, let's talk about what Marcus just did." He said, "Why? Is there a problem? Why is that so smart?" Because Marcus was making Karen explain herself. He was saying, "Tell me why you're doing this. Tell me why you're being mean. Tell me why you're picking on me." Marcus was staying calm, staying polite, staying smart, but he was also starting to fight back, in his own quiet way. And Karen? Oh, Karen didn't like that. She didn't like being questioned. She didn't like being challenged. She didn't like Marcus acting so calm, so confident, so strong. So, Karen smirked. A smirk, remember, is that sneaky, mean smile, the one that says, "I'm better than you." And then, she said something even meaner, something so mean it made everyone gasp, "Ah." She said, "Just doing my job. Some people don't belong here, you know." Whoa. Let's stop right there and talk about what Karen just said. Some people don't belong here, you know. What does that mean? It means Karen was saying, loud and clear, that she thought Marcus didn't belong in first class, that she thought he was bad, that she thought he was wrong, just because of the way he looked. And she said it loud, really loud, super loud, so everyone would hear, so everyone would think Marcus was the problem, not her. Oof, Karen, wrong move. Big mistake. Huge mistake. Gigantic mistake. Karen thought she was in charge, thought she was the boss, thought she could do whatever she wanted. But oh, how wrong she was. Because Marcus. He wasn't just going to sit there and take it. He wasn't just going to let Karen win. No, Marcus had a plan, a secret, a mission. And Karen's big mistake? It was just what Marcus needed to start putting his plan into action. Now, let's ask a question, to keep you thinking, to keep you curious. What do you think Marcus is going to do next? Is he going to yell? Is he going to fight? Is he going to use his secret, the one he's been hiding, the one that's going to flip this whole story upside down? Well, here's a hint: he's not just going to sit there and take it. Marcus is smart, Marcus is strong, Marcus is brave, and Marcus is about to teach Karen a lesson she'll never forget. So stick around, because this is about to get good, really good, super good. Marcus took a deep breath, slow and steady, like when you blow up a balloon, puff, puff, puff. He was sitting in his seat, seat 1A, right at the front of first class, but now, it was time to do something big. Something huge. Something wild. Marcus stood up, slow and strong, like a superhero getting ready to save the day. And oh boy, Marcus was tall, taller than Karen, taller than most people on the plane. When he stood up, it was like a giant standing up in a room full of little people. Suddenly, the whole plane felt his presence. Everyone stopped, everyone stared, everyone knew something big was about to happen. Karen, the mean flight attendant, was standing there, her clipboard clutched tightly, her fake smile still on her face, her mean words, "Some people don't belong here," you know, still hanging in the air. But when Marcus stood up, her smile started to shake, like a leaf on a tree in the wind, shake, shake, shake. Marcus looked at her, his eyes sharp like a hawk, his face calm like a still pond, and he reached into his jacket pocket. Everyone watched, holding their breath, waiting, wondering. What was he pulling out? Was it his ID, the one Karen asked for? Was it a pen? Was it a piece of candy? No, no, no. It was something much better, something much bigger, something much shinier. Marcus pulled out, not his ID, but a badge. A badge. A shiny, official-looking badge, like the ones police officers wear, or firefighters, or superheroes in movies. The badge sparkled under the plane's lights, flash, 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 and on it, in big, bold letters, were the words "Airline Inspector." Airline Inspector. What does that mean? It means Marcus wasn't just any passenger. He wasn't just a guy on a trip. He was someone important, someone powerful, someone whose job was to make sure flights are safe and fair for everyone. Boom. There it was, the big secret, the huge surprise, the gigantic twist that flipped the whole story upside down. The passengers gasped, loud like a big wind, whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Their eyes went wide, their mouths dropped open, their hands flew up to their faces. Ah! They couldn't believe it. Marcus, the quiet man in the simple clothes, the man Karen was mean to, was an airline inspector. Karen's smirk vanished, gone, poof, like magic. Her face went pale, white like a ghost, white like a piece of paper, white like snow. She looked at the badge, then at Marcus, then at the badge again, her eyes big and round, her mouth opening and closing like a fish, flap, flap, flap. She didn't know what to say, didn't know what to do, didn't know how to fix the big, huge, gigantic mistake she had made. Marcus spoke, his voice calm but strong, like a big, steady drum, boom, boom, boom. "My name is Marcus Jones," he said, loud enough for everyone to hear. "I work for the Federal Aviation Authority. My job is to make sure flights are safe and fair for everyone. And you, Ms. Miller, have just failed the test." Whoa. Let's stop right there and talk about what Marcus just said. The Federal Aviation Authority is a big, important group that makes rules for planes, to keep everyone safe and happy. And Marcus? He worked for them. His job was to watch people like Karen, to make sure they were doing their jobs the right way, to make sure they were being fair and kind. And Karen? Oh, Karen had failed, big time. She failed the test of being fair, the test of being kind, the test of doing her job. Karen stammered, her voice shaky, like a broken toy, squeak, squeak, squeak. What? You can't be serious, she said, her hands shaking, her clipboard wobbling, her face still pale. But Marcus? He didn't flinch. He didn't shake. He didn't wobble. He just looked at her, calm and strong, and said, "Oh, I'm very serious." And then, he dropped the next big surprise, the next huge twist, the next gigantic boom. "I've been watching you this whole flight," he said. "Not just how you treated me, but how you ignored other passengers, broke safety rules, and acted unprofessionally. I have it all recorded." Recorded? Marcus held up his phone, shiny and black, and on the screen was a video of Karen being mean, spilling water, ignoring Marcus, giving dirty looks, saying mean things. Everything, all of it, caught on camera, clear as day, proof, proof, proof. The passengers went wild, loud like a big party, yay, yay, yay. They started clapping, clap, 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 their hands hitting together, their faces smiling, their voices cheering. One woman, sitting a few seats back, stood up and shouted, "Serves her right." Serves her right? That means Karen was getting what she deserved, getting in trouble for being mean, getting caught for being unfair. Karen looked around, desperate, her eyes darting left, right, up, down, looking for a way out, looking for help, looking for anything. But there was no way out. No help. No escape. Marcus had the proof, Marcus had the power, Marcus had the badge. And then, Marcus did one last big thing, one last huge move, one last gigantic boom. He pressed a button on his phone, beep, 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 and spoke into it, loud and clear, like a superhero calling for backup. "This is Inspector Jones," he said. "I'm on flight 247. We need a replacement flight attendant at the gate when we land. And Ms. Miller? She's done. Done. That means Karen was finished, out, gone. No more job, no more clipboard, no more being mean to passengers. Karen was done, done, done." Boom. Did you see that coming? Did you guess Marcus's secret? Marcus wasn't just a passenger, he was the boss of the situation. He was the hero, the fixer, the one who made things right. Now, let's ask a question, to keep you thinking, to keep you excited. What do you think happens to Karen next? Does she say sorry? Does she try to run away? Does she learn her lesson? Well, keep watching, because the story isn't over yet, and it's about to get even better, really better, super better. 9 minutes later, the plane landed, smooth and steady, bump, 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 on the runway. The big engine slowed down, hum, 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 and the plane rolled to a stop at the gate. Everyone on the plane was excited, clapping their hands, yay, 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 because the wild ride was over, and the mean flight attendant, Karen, was about to get in big, huge, gigantic trouble. The seatbelt sign turned off, ding, 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 and people started to stand up, grabbing their bags, ready to get off the plane. But something big was about to happen, something important, something fair. As soon as the plane doors opened, whoosh, 2 security guards stepped on board. Security guards are like police officers, but for the airport. They wear uniforms, dark and serious, with shiny badges, flash, 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 and they carry walkie-talkies, beep, 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 to talk to other guards. These guards were tall, strong, and serious, like superheroes coming to save the day. Marcus, the airline inspector, the hero of our story, stood up from his seat, seat 1A, and nodded to them, a slow, steady nod, like this, nod, nod, nod. That nod meant, go get her. Do your job. And the guards? They knew exactly what to do. The guards walked straight to Karen, their boots thumping on the floor, thump, thump, thump. Karen was standing near the front, her clipboard still clutched tightly, her face still pale, her eyes still wide, like a deer caught in headlights, blink, blink, blink. One of the guards, the taller one, looked at her and said, "Ma'am, you need to come with us." His voice was deep, loud, strong, like a big drum, boom, boom, boom. Karen's clipboard shook in her hands, shake, 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 and she opened her mouth to argue, to fight, to make excuses. But I didn't do anything wrong," she said, her voice high and squeaky, like a broken toy, squeak, squeak, squeak. But the guards didn't listen. The passengers didn't listen. Marcus didn't listen. Because everyone knew the truth, Karen did do something wrong, something really wrong, something super wrong. And guess what happened next? The passengers cheered, loud like a big party, yay, yay, yay. They clapped their hands, clap, 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 and some even shouted, good riddance. Good riddance means good, she's gone. The guards took Karen by the arm, gently but firmly, and escorted her off the plane, step, 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 out the door, gone, gone, gone. The passengers kept cheering, smiling, laughing, because justice was served, fair and square, right and good. Marcus stayed behind, calm and quiet, making sure everyone else got off the plane safely. He helped a little kid find his toy plane, zoom, 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 and he helped an older lady carry her bag, lift, lift, lift. Marcus was a hero, not just because of his badge, not just because of his job, but because he cared, really cared, super cared. And guess who came over to thank him? The captain of the flight, the big boss of the plane, the one who flies it up in the sky, zoom, zoom, zoom. The captain, in his shiny uniform, walked over to Marcus, held out his hand, and said, "Thank you, Inspector Jones. We need more people like you." Marcus shook his hand, shake, 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 and smiled, a big, kind smile, and said, "I'm just doing my job." As Marcus walked through the airport, people smiled at him, big, happy smiles, grin, grin, grin. Some even clapped, clap, 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 like he was a movie star, like he was a superhero, like he was the best. The passengers who had stayed quiet before, the ones who were too scared to speak up, now came over to thank him, one by one, step, step, step. "Thank you for standing up to Karen," one lady said. "You did the right thing," a man said. "You're awesome," a little kid shouted. And Marcus? He just smiled, calm and kind, and said, "I'm just doing my job." But here's the best part, the really best part, the super best part: Karen didn't just lose her job that day. Oh no, it was bigger than that, huger than that, giganticer than that. Marcus wrote a big, important report, a paper full of facts, proof, truth, about everything Karen did wrong. And that report made sure Karen could never work as a flight attendant again, never, ever, ever. No more clipboard, no more sneakers, no more being mean to passengers. Karen was done, done, done. And the airline, the big company that runs the planes. They were so happy with Marcus, so thankful, so proud, that they sent him a big thank you letter, long and shiny, with fancy words, yay, yay, yay. And guess what else? They gave him a free first-class ticket for his next trip, a ticket to fly anywhere, anytime, in the best seat. Who? Justice served, right? Fair and square, good and true, right and strong. Karen was mean, really mean, super mean, but Marcus was smart, really smart, super smart, and he made things right. Now, let's ask a question, to keep you thinking, to keep you talking. What do you think, did Karen get what she deserved? Was it fair that she lost her job, that she can't be a flight attendant anymore? Tell me in the comments, shout it out loud, let me know, yay, yay, yay. And there you have it, folks, the story of Marcus Jones, the quiet hero who turned the tables on unfair treatment. Wow, what a story, right? Let's talk about it one more time, nice and slow, so we can really think about what happened, really feel it, really learn from it. Marcus was just a man on a plane, a tall, friendly man in simple clothes, sitting in his seat, minding his own business. But Karen, the mean flight attendant, judged him, really judged him, super judged him, just because of the way he looked, just because of his dark skin, just because of his plain jacket. She thought he didn't belong, thought he was sneaking, thought he was bad. But oh, how wrong she was, really wrong, super wrong. See, Marcus wasn't just any man. Marcus was special, really special, super special. He was an airline inspector, a big, important job, a job that meant he had power, real power, strong power, to make things right, to make things fair, to make things good. But here's the amazing thing, Marcus didn't show off his power, didn't brag, didn't yell. He stayed quiet, really quiet, super quiet, like a mouse sneaking through the grass, squeak, 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 watching, waiting, planning. And when the time was right, boom. He stood up, tall like a giant, strong like a superhero, and showed everyone who he really was, showed everyone his shiny badge, flash, 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 showed everyone his secret, his mission, his power. And Karen? Oh, Karen lost, really lost, super lost, because she judged him, because she was mean, because she was unfair. So, let's think about that for a second, nice and slow, like when you're trying to solve a puzzle, click, click, click. Sometimes, the person you underestimate the most is the one with the most power. What does underestimate mean? It means thinking someone is weak, thinking someone is small, thinking someone can't do big things, just because of how they look, just because of what they wear, just because of where they sit. Karen underestimated Marcus, really underestimated him, super underestimated him. She thought he was nobody, thought he was nothing, thought he was just a guy she could be mean to. But Marcus? He was the boss, really the boss, super the boss, the one with the badge, the one with the phone, the one with the power to fix things, to stop unfairness, to make justice happen, boom, boom, boom. And those who judge others by how they look? They're the ones who lose in the end, really lose, super lose, just like Karen did. Judging is bad, really bad, super bad. It's like looking at a book and saying, this book is boring, without even opening it, without even reading one page, without even giving it a chance. Or it's like looking at a piece of candy and saying, this candy tastes yucky, without even unwrapping it, without even taking one bite, without even trying it. Judging is wrong, really wrong, super wrong, because you might miss out on something amazing, something wonderful, something awesome, like a great book, like a yummy candy, like a hero named Marcus Jones. So, here's something to think about, something big, something important, something special. The next time you see someone being treated unfairly, will you speak up? Let's talk about what unfair means, nice and simple, so we all understand. Unfair is when someone is mean to someone else for no reason, really no reason, super no reason, like Karen was mean to Marcus just because of his dark skin, just because of his simple clothes, just because of how he looked. Unfair is bad, really bad, super bad, because everyone deserves to be treated nice, everyone deserves to be treated fair, everyone deserves to be treated good, no matter what they look like, no matter what they wear, no matter where they sit. Now, imagine you're at school, playing on the playground, swing, 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 slide, slide, slide. And you see a kid, a new kid, a kid who looks different, maybe with different clothes, maybe with a different color skin, maybe with a different way of talking. And some other kids are being mean to that new kid, saying, you can't play here, or you don't belong, or go away. That's unfair, really unfair, super unfair, just like Karen was unfair to Marcus. So, what do? Do you stay quiet, like the passengers on the plane, watching but not saying anything, watching but not helping, watching but not being brave? Or do you speak up, like Marcus, standing tall, staying calm, saying, hey, stop it, that's not fair, everyone belongs here, everyone gets to play, everyone gets to be happy? Or maybe, just maybe, you'll be the one to turn the tables, just like Marcus did. Turn the tables. What does that mean? It means changing things, really changing things, super changing things, making the bad stuff stop, making the good stuff happen, making the unfair stuff go away, poof, poof, poof. Marcus turned the tables on Karen, really turned them, super turned them, by showing his badge, by showing his power, by showing the truth. And you can turn the tables, too, in your own way, in your own life, in your own world. Maybe you help that new kid on the playground, saying, come play with me, swing, 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 you belong here, you're my friend. Maybe you tell a teacher, hey, those kids are being mean, it's not fair, we need to fix it. Maybe you just smile at someone who looks sad, grin, 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 making them feel big, making them feel strong, making them feel happy. Now, let's think about Marcus one more time, nice and slow, like when you're eating a big, yummy ice cream cone, lick, lick, lick. Marcus was quiet, really quiet, super quiet, but he was strong, really strong, super strong. He didn't yell, didn't fight, didn't be mean back. He used his brain, used his badge, used his power, to make things right, to make things fair, to make things good. And that's a big lesson, really big, super big, for all of us, for you, for me, for everyone. Being strong doesn't mean yelling, doesn't mean fighting, doesn't mean being mean. Being strong means staying calm, staying smart, staying kind, even when someone is mean to you, even when someone is unfair, even when someone is bad. So, here's one last thing to think about, one last big question, one last super idea. What if you're the quiet hero, just like Marcus? What if you're the one with the power to help, the power to fix, the power to make things right? Maybe you're at school, maybe you're at the park, maybe you're at home, and you see something unfair, really unfair, super unfair. Will you be the one to stand up, to speak up, to turn the tables, just like Marcus did? I think you can, really can, super can, because you're strong, you're smart, you're kind, just like Marcus, just like a hero, just like the best. Thanks for watching, everyone, really watching, super watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe if you loved the story, if you cheered for Marcus, if you booed for Karen, if you learned something big, something important, something special. And hey, tell me in the comments, shout it out loud, let me know what's your favorite underdog story. An underdog is someone who seems weak, seems small, seems like they can't win, but then, boom, they do win, they do shine, they do soar, just like Marcus, just like a hero, just like you. So, tell me, what's your story, what's your favorite, what's your best? See you in the next video, wave, 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 bye, bye.